Hello and welcome to another tutorial. In this one, I will show you how to make a map of the census data in 1901, and you will also learn how to work as a team using uMap. In the first part, I will show you how to create a master map, and in the second one, I will pretend to be one of the individuals in the group working towards the master map. You can try this project for Heritage Week or maybe with a group of transition year students. We're working with uMap in this tutorial again. Please watch the introductory tutorial, which is in another video. So we go in, sign in. As the person who creates the master map, I would say it's very important for you to log in so you have the map saved. And you create a map, the top right corner. Just quickly gonna change the background and zoom in on Kilkenny. And we're going to name our map 1901 Census. The top left, click on the pencil, 1901 Census. And you can add a description later on. And we save this. And we want to make a map of as many streets as we can manage, depending on how many people you have working with you, or if you're working alone, how much patience you have to do the whole town, which would be a lot of work. But we want to be able to have a map that when you click on a house, you're being displayed some information about the inhabitants. I've gone to the census website, which you will find when you just look on the internet, and I've gone into Kilkenny and William Street because that's one of the streets where I'm pretty sure the house numbering hasn't changed, and it's not a too long street, so it's 25 numbers. So I'm clicking on, I'm missing number 8, which is quite important in the history of Kilkenny, and number 12, which featured in Lock Up Your Daughters, but maybe nobody lived there at the time. So I'm clicking on 11. And I think that's the one next to the Methodist Church, since there are 4 members of the family members of the Methodist Church, and there is a house right next to the church, the manse. So that was probably the Clayton family. So we have 5 people living there, the Clayton family, and we have a head of family, and we have a religion given, ages and sex and forenames, and then a visitor and a servant. So this is information we could display on the map, for example. For example, we can say that the Clayton family lived there and that the head of the family was William John and that the family was a member of the Methodist Church, for example. And we want to create a map where people can click on a house and get information displayed that we get from the census website. And we do fill in that for every house, the whole text. And the text is much nicer to read than just giving the bare facts, I think. So what we do, we have to define what the pop-up looks like, what the content of the pop-up will be when people click on the house. And we can use placeholders, again, as I've explained that in the Ringfort tutorial. And I have prepared the text already. As an example, it will read something like, this house was the home of the Smith family of 6. Head of the household was Michael Smith, whose profession was given as shoemaker. Their religion is stated as Roman Catholic. And a lot of these informations you would find in the census, but you don't have to write all the same sentences for every single house. You can use placeholders. I will show you how to do that. You go into the settings on uMap, and to default interaction options down to pop-up content template, like we did in the Ringford tutorial. And the default is a name as a first heading and a description. We're going to delete that, and I've prepared the code here. And you see I have full sentences. This house was the home of the, and then I have the wavy brackets, family name, and then family. So this is where the family name will be taken from the table and automatically put there, of, and then number of residents, and so on. So I will save this now. And then I go into the layer definitions and I will open the table. So it only has name so far. We don't actually need name because the name tag is not included in our text snippet. So we rename that into the first part that we have in the wavy brackets, which is family name, family underscore name, okay. And then we're looking for the next one, which is number of residents. So we create a new property and put that in there. And the next one is head of household. And it's automatically doing them in alphabetic order. Next one is profession. We might end up deleting that bit because there might not be a profession given for everyone, and then the text looks funny. And the last one is religion. You could also add something like the oldest person in the house and the youngest person in the house, whatever information there is in the census. But you have to make sure that there is a value for all the keys. So there's always going to be an oldest person and the youngest person. But if you want to, there's information about if they were Irish speakers and something like that. And that would be more difficult to add to the table. So these are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 keys that we have in our table. I will close that table now. And it is already saved. And now that we have that table set up, it's very important that you add a data set to the table. So you don't have to draw a house, you can just set a marker just anywhere to open the editing window. And we don't need name and description. Go down to family name. And what's handy if you work with a group is maybe just to use that space to put in some hints. So in family name, you just type in add the family name. That's a given. And here add name of head of household. Number of residents, add the total number of residents, excluding visitors. Profession, and here this is the short view. Basically, if you click on show all information, it will show the occupation as well. So this guy is a merchant tailor. So click on show all information to display occupation. Maybe we should have called it occupation rather than profession. And then add religion. And we save this. And since you're the only person who can work on this map now, you will have to find a way to let your group work and to fill in the forms. So the way you do that is you go over to the left, click on the share button, and download the data, the full map data. Click on that, and you download that to your download file. I would also suggest that you move it into your project folder. So I have moved it into a folder called Census Project, and now is a very important part. You make as many copies as you have streets to work on. So I will only do William Street now, but for your project, if you have more than one street or if you have split a street, make as many copies as you need of this file just by pressing Ctrl C and Ctrl V, which you see it makes a copy. So I will rename the first one into William Street. And the second one, let's say I will call Parliament Street. Of course, you have to name them into the streets that you have in your town or village. And then you can make maybe an Excel sheet to keep track of who's doing what. And you send one person the William Street one, and the next person the Parliament Street one, and so on and so forth. And in the next video, I will show you how they fill in the data then and how to proceed with the data once they're finished. And see you in the next video.